Let's talk about the two biggest names for this week 5. Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp are going to be off the PUP list. Here's what we know right now before we dissect what this looks like for both of their offenses. Jonathan Taylor, he is reportedly healthy from his ankle injury. He is still, as of right now, not even activated on their roster, however, and he's listed officially as questionable. He did have a press conference and talked about his involvement with the team and said there was a point when you said you wanted to be traded. How committed are you to this Colts offense right now? And his reply was, I'm here. I wouldn't be 100% if I wasn't here. So let's dissect that in a second after we discuss what Cooper Kupp's engagement looks like. He returned to practice as well. The Rams are focusing specifically on how he does with the deep routes, as he and Matthew Stafford had a lot of connection last year before he got injured, and especially in their Super Bowl run. They want to test his max speed. The injury reporting from the Rams isn't as serious as they initially thought. They thought it may be a long-term injury, something he may have to fight through this season, might affect his career. Right now, it doesn't seem to be the case. Cooper Kupp himself said that he is good to go, and he is, in fact, playing Sunday. Big news. Two massive players that are affected by both their players' returns. Noah, start out here with Jonathan Taylor, what the Colts offense looked like, and especially how this affects Anthony Richardson, who is dominating in the ground game.
Yeah, so I don't think Anthony Richardson really loses much of a step. I think there were some designed runs for him in this offensive playbook. I think they're still going to call those plays. And I still think that Jonathan Taylor, while I may have made bold claims in the preseason on where I stand on him, I think he is still going to be a decent or more than decent play, I will say. I think at this point now, my concern for him going elsewhere is pretty low. It does sound like he is committed to Indianapolis for the season. I think there's a strong chance that Shane Steichen stepped in there and played a little bit of damage control between Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay, and maybe looked to Irsay and went, hey, can I have my top 5 running back, please? Can you not piss him off? Is that cool? Like, can we try this out here? And so
if we die, we die. Football goes on.
What does that even mean? Like, what
He's a lunatic. Love Jim Irsay.
He's like the old prospectors. Get back in your box, Jim Irsay. It's all good. Just go back in the box. You're fine. You're good. Just buckle up your overalls and just...
Oh, my gosh.
Jonathan Taylor's going to play for your team, all right? You're good. You're fine.
Can't get that image out of my mind.
I know. There you go. Jonathan Taylor, though, I do think is going to be a impactful player in fantasy football. I have my concerns preseason on how many kind of like opportunities would be taken away from Anthony Richardson and the rushing game. I think Shane Steichen is going to use Jonathan Taylor to Anthony Richardson's benefit. I think this is just an upgrade for the Colts offense and maybe in general. There weren't really many pass catchers that I was looking at in the Colts offense. Maybe Michael Pittman Jr., but I still think he is going to get his. I think Josh Downs might see a little bit of a downtick, which he had already seen once Anthony Richardson returned. So that's neither here nor there. But Jonathan Taylor's return is exciting for fantasy football. It's fantasy football and football in general is more fun when Jonathan Taylor is in it. So as far as Zach Moss goes, I wouldn't drop him. I think he's probably still we've seen he's a good insurance option if Jonathan Taylor were to get traded. If there would be some sort of injury to happen, Zach Moss will be the guy. And even especially this week, if you're in a tight spot, I think Zach Moss, you could still play. I don't know what the snap share will look like with Jonathan Taylor this week. So as for the Colts, I think the whole offense gets an uptick, and that's kind of where I'm at with that whole situation.
I believe it was on the Pat McAfee show that Shane Steichen went on and actually addressed Anthony Richardson's use in the ground game. And as many of you may know, Pat McAfee played for the Colts, so he's just hyped about Anthony Richardson and how he's been playing. Steichen addressed the concussion concerns for Anthony Richardson and just the injury risk of having a mobile quarterback like Richardson. And Steichen's reply was, Well, obviously, we want to protect him, but when he's that good, I mean, you got to roll him out. Like, we have to keep designing plays for a player that is that good with the football in his hand and is doing what he is on the ground. So my concern for Anthony Richardson's ground game does not change. In fact, I think it adds just as much of a threat for Richardson as it is, because as you were talking, I was trying to recall some of the most recent dual threat running backs. And I mean, dual threat quarterbacks. And I can't think of a running back that had a great running back. Like, I can't think of a quarterback that had a dominant running back with them. Usually they were the running back too. Like, Lamar Jackson's never really had, a consistent running back. Like, J.K. Dobbins is good, but he's been too injured. He hasn't been able to sustain anything. Cam Newton never really had a strong running back. Jalen Hurts has had like 17 running backs in the 2 years he started. So this will be fascinating. This will be very exciting to see what it looks like when you have a very strong rushing quarterback and a top 5 running back. I think the offense as a whole succeeds. And I think it'll be a no-brainer when Jonathan Taylor plays his first week. They're playing the Titans, I believe. And I know the Titans' rush defense has been pretty good, but how are you going to stop two of them?
Yeah.
I think it paid off for those that did still take Jonathan Taylor. The concerns were worrying in the offseason. I think what might have persuaded Jonathan Taylor to be like, all right, I'll stay with the Colts is look how good that offense is.
Yeah.
That offense looks pretty solid. I mean, they don't have an amazing record, but they're hanging in there for the AFC South for a playoff run. They can win the division still. The Jaguars are not as off to a hot start as we all thought it was going to be. The Texans are the ones that I think are probably going to win the division.
Third of the division for me right now at this point. But looking at offensive firepower, just how good they're looking. So
they're a mess. So it feels like this worked out. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be just fine. I think Richardson's going to be just fine. I'll be curious to see how the passing game evolves, though, because when you have a legitimate threat, not that Zach Moss wasn't, but when you have a legitimate threat in the backfield, maybe we start seeing Michael Pittman pop off more often. Maybe we get a little more involvement from Josh Downs or the rookie connection with Anthony Richardson. Yeah. I'm excited to see what that looks like here. I agree with you on Zach Moss. Let's jump over to Los Angeles here, because not only is this important for Matthew Stafford and the Rams offense as a whole, but hey, over the first 4 weeks, a Rams wide receiver is number 2 in fantasy points. Puka Nacua is going to descend in the depth chart behind Cooper Kupp. I want to hear your first blush reaction to what this looks like with Puka and Cooper and even Kyren Williams and how this all plays together, not just this week, but for the season and what we can anticipate.
I'll start with Kyren. I think Kyren is going to benefit from Cooper Kupp being back. I think the defenses are going to be a little more spread out. They're not going to be able to stack the box as much. And I think Kyren Williams is talented, and he is, even if he's not talented, he is getting opportunity like no other. He is on the field so much. I think he will continue to be on the field. I think he's going to be a fantastic running back for the rest of the season. I think he's borderline, if not going to finish inside the top 15 running backs this year. I mean, some guys will turn some stuff around. Right now, I believe he's the running back 3. I believe, if I'm correct. So I think Kyren is going to benefit here. I'll go on to Puka Nacua. I'm not worried. I'm really not. I know Puka's not going to be getting 20 targets a game, but I'm not worried here about the fantasy football production of Puka Nacua with the return of Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua is playing 70% of his snaps on the outside. That doesn't overlap with Cooper Kupp at all. Cooper Kupp plays in the slot. Like that's not his. It's not his spot outside. They're not going to overlap. They're going to be on the field at the same time, and they're both going to be able to find themselves getting open. And unlike seasons past, Stafford has a tremendous amount of trust in 2 guys on the field. And that's with Matthew Stafford, trust is a huge thing. We heard the reports this preseason of, Stafford doesn't really even know the names of guys. Like, it's just like it's tough, and so it's for him being the kind of quarterback he is, when he has a guy, he has a guy. And Puka Nacua started joining those breakfast meetings and getting plugged in, and he is attached to Cooper Kupp's hip during practice. He is learning, and I think Puka Nacua has the full trust of Matthew Stafford. So I'm not worried there either. Cooper Kupp, I think he's going to return right back to form. My concern here is that the hamstring gets tweaked again. If it does, obviously that's not good, and you're not going to have Cooper Kupp in your lineup. If they think he's fully healthy and he's ready to roll back out there and be who he's been in the past, he's going to come out and he's going to be the top scoring fantasy football wide receiver in the league. Like that's it. That is how this is going to turn out. He is going to be the best guy at the wide receiver spot on the field every single Sunday when he's on the field and healthy with Matthew Stafford. That is point blank where we're at. I think we're about to see maybe a little bit of the vintage looks of 2 or 3 years ago with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. A little bit of Bobby Tree's resemblance here with Puka Nacua and how they're going to work together on the field. I think they're both going to be very solid, and I think this Rams offense, again, like the Indianapolis Colts, is just going to be benefiting tremendously from getting a guy back, not just because they have that guy back, but because it's going to free up opportunities and space for everyone else that can make impact plays on the field. So I think there's going to about to be a lot of more fun happening in LA and more passing touchdowns from Matthew Stafford. Let's get some more of those. He's like second in passing yards, and he has like 2 passing touchdowns. That's it.
Yeah. You know what this screams to me? Matthew Stafford's going to finish top 10 as a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Let's get the touchdowns
Matthew Stafford
coming back up.
needs
Boom.
to be 100% rostered. You can have Cooper Kupp and you have Puka Nacua the way he's playing for this season, plus Kyren Williams, who is getting loads of targets as well. Matthew Stafford
I'm going
is
to throw
going...
some respect on Tutu Atwell, too, real quick.
And Tutu,
Atwell has found
yes.
his space in the offense as well. Tyler Higbee, once upon a time, a couple years ago, was getting incredible targets and finding his place in the offense as well. Like, this offense is about to be something really special, I think.
Stafford is going to end up being somebody's QB1 because of what Kupp and Puka and Tutu and Higbee and Kyren all do together. Hey, Sean McVay, may not have been a bad idea to turn down that TV deal and stick around for another season. Your team looks pretty good, my friend.